Oh. Alright, hi. Hey guys. Fitz back here for another game here. So, yeah, so I'll be excited for this game. It's gonna be spawned here in the bottom right for LRM's evolution. It will be MADiNHO. Sorry for butchering your name, but that's the best I can do. And he'll be the white Terran, and his opponent will be the blue Protoss. Spawned here on the top left on Monte Cristo again. And I can't read what they're saying here. Lose here, come back and win F2. Good plan or something like that. I couldn't really hear that, but anyway, it'll be the ripped Russian Fun Pro Gaming teams, or A teams, Dewalt. Dewalt, we cast from the semifinals, so we have a pretty good, good idea of him. Dewalt's a very, very high level player, and if I remember correctly, he came up at second in ISL. And I have still not been able to find a co-caster. It has been the most bizarre thing. I cannot tell you. And again, I guess I do apologize that I do not have the ability to give you the in-game sounds. I'll even turn them on, but they just don't come up. And I feel like the only reason why they don't come up is this headset. I did some tests and just try to figure out what was wrong. It appears to be like this headset that I'm wearing can only play at DVD quality or like some hertz level that it can play. So if you try to turn it down, it just gives off an error. And you do look at Dewalt just sneaking by and just gonna be able to get scouting information. But that is tight though, I believe. Yep. So, you know, the probe did probably want to see what they wanted to see. Nothing really out of the ordinary. Didn't see if he had gas or not, but if we were to see any kind of bioplay, I think Dewalt would probably be able to do it. And because of this, I think we'll probably just see 2-gate tech into Robo. I think that's probably going to be the safest thing for Dewalt to go for. MADiNHO has some... He can do some stuff. I mean, this probe is still alive, though. It's very, very annoying. So, I don't know if MADiNHO wants to, you know, somehow drastically change tech. But it's looking more like mech style, but we'll have to see. But I believe it's just going to be mech. And there goes down the Cyber Core. Should be finishing around 2 minutes and 45 seconds here. And let's get up our little tab things here. MADiNHO is on there. Alright, so it's 15 probes to 15 SCVs, nothing really out of the ordinary there, and 1 gate so far, so what have you. Alright, so it's going to put down a factory here, and like I was saying, though, what that probe does, it makes it a bit more annoying to get off the tech you want, if it's still alive there and still can find its way in the base. Oftentimes, actually, what can happen is when Terrans tight wall off to deny scouting, they'll just kind of leave this gap open. And actually, I was gonna say I thought he was gonna go do 2 fact because he wasn't producing a lot of Marines, but there we go, he's starting to keep them up. But I was gonna say he could try to, like, you know, put it behind the mineral line, and then right when they lift up their brick, you can try to sneak in and then just see what happens. May take a while to perfect that timing, but I'm sure you could eventually get it down to a pact. We have range coming up right about now. Still off of 1 gate, probably, oopsie. That's cool, I didn't know I can hit that with my little big toe. I said we have the first Zealot making his way down. Or the first Dragoon going his way down right there, so. Okay. Now, MADiNHO is just gonna be doing whatever he likes to be doing right now. It's still 1 factory. Now, the upgrade will dictate what he's getting. Nothing has been researched yet, as it would be way too early to do so. But anyway, I was just double checking. And he's gonna follow it up with a command center. And so he's not even gonna do any kind of FD push. He's playing a little bit more safer here. He's gonna get siege tech, which often identifies more of a turtling Terran. At least for... because this early on siege tech doesn't actually give you any bonus. It just makes your units that much more static. And I believe, I need to ask one of my co-casters this, but I believe unupgraded tanks actually, or unsieged tanks actually have a higher DPS than when they're in siege mode. That being said, though, it's always better to have 10 siege tanks in siege mode because they can instantly kill off something really quick. But if they were unsieged and all 10 of them were shooting at once, then they'd be better than siege tanks. But These things have an unbelievable amount of range, so it kind of evens out, but one tank isn't really going to really kill off Dragoons that fast. 10 of them, 15 of them, 40 of them, yes, but 1, no. 2, no. 3, no. 4, you're starting to get to a pretty high level. I got involved with Spider Mine, very important upgrade coming up right now. And guys, I hope the music isn't too distracting, but I thought it was well worth it with the amount of awesome music that we have from Pokemon Remixed. I believe we're still only at 1 gate. Yeah, that's his first, second gateway coming up. Alright, so it looks like we're going to be gearing up for a push here, and more protesters are doing this kind of Zealot Bomb style, at least the more I'm seeing this. Kind of glad to see it, and it looks like I thought that was an expansion coming up. But what this will allow, sorry about that. What this will allow for Dewalt to allow him to do is he can put those zealots on top of the tanks, and they can just do a ton of damage. Actually, it looks like he's gonna take a third onto the island. It is siegeable, to note, and that can definitely be something. Now, I think I've casted MADiNHO once. His name does sound a little bit familiar here, and it looks like we have speed coming up, so we could see speed vulture drops, or speed drops is what Hackleby said. I tuned into that that co-caster we had last night, iCup BMW. Yeah, he was chill. But he told me to go watch Hacklebeast and all that fun stuff. But anyway, he said speed drop, which is just pretty much speed zealots with drops. I'll still say speed vulture drop, but still. Okay. So alright, so okay, so the ending is Academy up now. Now let's just check back in on these players real quick. Okay, so 40 pros down to 34 SCVs. And he's only up to 2 factories right now compared to 3 gates. So both players are, this is definitely, both players are powering up. I mean, that is an understatement right now. Neither player really has a lot of production right now at this point in the game. I mean, it's still fairly early. I mean, we're starting to transition to the mid game right about now, I believe. And this is what I was talking about. See how they were kind of like on A command and then they kind of just stopped there? That's what I've been saying in my previous cast about things just getting AI blocked. Alright, so these vultures are going to be making their way over across the map here. Probably will be checking for our third base here. But I kind of like where Dewalt was going to take his expansion whenever he puts it down. Can he put it down? I'm not sure if that allows him to put it down, that extra minnow patch, but these vultures really aren't going to accomplish too much, but they do see it's a high goon count, which I guess like the way you read in that is just like nothing like cheesy. Like it's not like they have like mass zealot or like mass reaver. It's something that they actually have an army. I guess it's just kind of like that. But Dewalt's really taking his due time to take this expansion. It looks like he's gonna take it soon with the minerals up there, but now this is not epic music, but it's relaxing music, I guess. Well, both players are powering up. 49 to 49 at 47 SCV. So, and we're up to 4 gates now. 12 goons to 2 vultures and 7 tanks. All right. And Terran's expanded down to the 3 o'clock here. Keep in mind this base is very, very open, so Protoss will actually have some room to maneuver here, unlike the 3rd base on Fighting Spirit. That is really good saturation. Ow, that's gonna hurt. And that's a really nice spread, by the way, too. Even if we got fast arbiters, which would be coming up right about now. Yeah, okay, so yeah. So Dewalt's actually going to be getting up faster arbiters right now. I did see the Stargate, but it's around 9 minutes and 30 seconds. Sometimes it's probably like the fastest arbiter tech I've seen. And a quote Hacklebeast again, and again, he didn't say this to me, but he was saying in cast that he doesn't like fast arbiters. He just thinks it's a waste of time. That's his input. Just another caster. And look, finally that Nexus going down at the 12 at that island. And I don't think that's going to get scouted for quite some time. I think what MADiNHO might be thinking is like, oh, he's 2-basing, but 2-base Protoss, I don't know. Maybe he just knows that it's at the 12 o'clock. He just hasn't gotten any kind of Stargate yet. Starport, yeah, he's just starting to get Starport up and the control tower up. So he'll probably put down. He may get a dropship real quick and then get Science Vessel tech out. But oh, hold on. I was gonna be pushing up the National here. This is gonna do a good amount of damage here. If all the tanks are completely out of position. And again, it's like this army just takes a long time, and this is actually really nice because he's going to be able to snipe off a lot of these tanks here. They're undefended. I love this by MADiNHO. He didn't siege up all of them. A lesser player would just siege them all up, thinking they do higher DPS, but they actually don't. 2 tanks, yeah, that's totally fine. Like, he's done good economic damage. We might see a tab down here soon that might say like X amount of SCVs were killed of MADiNHO, but by Dewalt. But and not only that, he just gets a nice read. I mean, how many factories are we looking at right now? We're looking at overall we're seeing 6 factories, 2 of which have machine shops on. And Terran's really wanting to again kind of like do their generic 3-base style, and that's totally fine. And I'm surprised where he's actually taking this 3rd base and how it's actually working. But this map, though, as it doesn't have any unbuildable area, meaning that he can just build whatever buildings he wants to anywhere, he can kind of like make like a makeshift wall over here, and you just make it much more annoying for Dragoons to get in there. Alright, so he's coming from the south here. He can definitely clean up the rest of his army here. He did force a scan. I'm surprised. I'm surprised he wouldn't just go engage there. Maybe he's trying to burn off scans, I guess. And we do have the 4th base going up. I'd like to see Dewalt have, like, a 5th base up by now. Like, down here. Especially while he's pressuring, but his multitasking might not be that good. Alright. It's kind of epic music. And just like Hacklebeast said, he actually got his Stasis Field a bit later. And the reason for that is, I always thought you're supposed to get your upgrades really, really fast, but he actually put some insight into me, and here comes the Vulture drop in here. So Arbiter will eventually be able to clean it up, but like I was talking about anyway, you get, because Arbiters only start with 50 energy unless you get their upgrade, and it's only 62, so when they get that upgrade, their starting energy, so they're not going to have that much energy to really start off with, so that being said, there's really no need to get their upgrades that quickly. I believe Stasis is like 75 energy though, so it's just Hacklebeast's input, even though, look at all those vultures, man. 0, 0, 0 upgrades at 13 minutes in the game. He needs to start those upgrades soon. What's the gateway counts now? We're up to 8 gates compared to 6 factories. So, yeah. And again, that's because Dewalt's lost this 4th base up here. He has queued up a good amount of probes up there, though. But Terran, this is where Terran's actually not in a terrible position here, because there's a couple ways to read in this, but I think that's kind of smart. He used a shuttle to drop off probes. But anyway, continue talking about this. I don't think Dewalt's in such a really great position right now, you know, because he's lost his 4th base for a lot of mining time right now, and he's been off of 3 base for quite some time. He's getting up to 5th base now, so he's gonna be off of 5 bases compared to a 4-basing Terran. But still, keep that in mind. I mean, he's only 1 base ahead, but we'll see. I just think right now, Dewalt's not in the best position where he'd like to be in. But I mean, that's just something that my opinion on it. So he's 174 supply to 194. So Terran's ahead. So this is where Terran's gonna be like really powerful. Except his upgrades haven't been that great either. He's really wanting to get that max army really, really quickly, cutting a lot of corners in general. And gateway counts again. What are we looking at? 10 gates now. I'll just keep that tab open to reference that. But, oh, 6 probes were killed off. Vulture drop happening in the north. Or Goliath vulture drop happening. I think Dewalt's having a difficult time engaging this army. For a second I couldn't find his army, but yeah, he has 27 zealots, 24 dragoons, 2 arbiters, compared to 37 vultures and 21 tanks. That's an insanely high, tank count. And if those are all congested in one area, like, it's gonna be tough. Alright, so it looks like we're going to have a vulture drop. I mean, a recall, excuse me. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Does it go off? It does. Nice recall, but that really didn't do too much. That accomplished really nothing, actually. By the way, he actually did snipe out this Nexus over here. And a pretty intense game so far. That's a lot of vultures. That's a lot of vultures. That's a lot of vultures. If I remember, he had like 30 something. Either way, he has less. He has like 28 left. That's still three control groups of vultures. It's hard to say. If you can get a stasis field, all right, that was a nice stasis field. Got 4 tanks. And Dewalt has killed off his army very convincingly. And I think it's because of lack of detection there. 140 supply to 166, and that's probably just going to go more in Dewalt's favor, considering the fact he's off of 11 gates now. You have to snipe out 4 more tanks, and remember that was like, that by itself was, I think, 12 supply. I think tanks are 3, if I'm not mistaken here. And you know, it's very interesting. I never understood actually how to play late game Brood War, because you get to the point where you have like a maxed out army, and then like, oh, that was not good by Dewalt. 53 probes down to 68 SCVs, so 7 probes were killed there from just a misclick. That's a pretty big deal right here, and this counter push is actually really, really powerful. Where's Dewalt's army? We're having a counter push onto the 3rd base over here as well. Will it be effective? I think it's going to be base for base here, but with this top right-hand expansion dead, which I didn't quite realize, and with this base almost dead, look at the destruction of that wall. Just another push coming in. Should be able to clean it up. Yeah, it looks like MADiNHO may just want to GG and go to the next game here. Dewalt, I believe, is okay to take that base. It's to lose that base, excuse me. And I don't even think MADiNHO actually has enough to clean this up right now. No, he doesn't. He's just gonna try to sit back and save his natural, I guess. Well, actually, surprisingly, Dewalt's actually just gonna retreat for the time being here. He has expanded down to the top right, though. And then going back to this base, though, it's been a little while since I've talked about it, but if he just put cannons around everywhere, I think he would have been fine to keep that base, but he didn't. So this base is destroyed, but so has MADiNHO's army that was attacking it. I'm gonna count on MADiNHO right now, but losing dropships and, you know, being only have 2 mining bases here, and with 140 supply, it's not looking great for him. And not to mention, the upgrades should probably start kicking in eventually. Speaking here, yeah, +2 compared to 2-1. So, Dewalt's still, you know, slightly behind in upgrades, which is definitely going to help out MADiNHO, but does it... Well, they're actually, surprisingly, though, MADiNHO's actually up in supply, but I believe that's just reading into the actual amount of SCVs that are out. Yeah, it's about, he has about 15 more harvesters, so it kind of equals out. But let's actually read what their armies are right now. Dewalt has... Oh, see, that's the wrong tab, sorry. 1 Zealot, 21 Dragoons, and 5 Arbiters. Wow, that's a lot of Arbiters. I don't think you needed that many, but alright. And then compared to MADiNHO, who has 22 Vultures, 12 tanks. So that tank number is going back up again. I mean, if a mech army gets to 200 again, Dewalt might just be caught off guard here. But losing these tanks like this is not going to be great. And by the way, that was a great stasis field there right by Dewalt right there. I keep on thinking this is an expansion at the 12, but it's not. Alright, so we have a Vulture run by, or about to be one at this base here, or is he actually just gonna block the ramp with the Dragoons while they're cloaked? No, he's just gonna burn up a scan. But talking about late game again, oh wow, that was a beautiful stasis field, because not only does it, well, stasis field stuff, it actually blocks off the ramp. He just has so many stasis fields, he can just stasis everything. And, you know, talking about late game again, I mean, now when both armies aren't really, you know, maxed out anymore, I just wonder, when you have a maxed out army, how do you actually control it in an effective way? Do you actually just forfeit your, like, I mean, I have to imagine you as, like, Terran, for example, right? You have, like, 1 hotkey for one factory, so you can double-click on it, so you can get in, like, a viewing, a camera angle where you can see all your vulture, all your machine, factories, so you can just click on them and just press T or V or G to make whatever units you need. Same thing for prototypes for their gateways. That's why building placement's really important in this game, not as much in StarCraft 2. But I mean, like, by the time we had like 38 vultures and like 20 tanks, that's like that's at least 6 or 7 control groups, and like with command centers with bases and stuff, like you just gotta be just jumping all over the map with like clicking on your minimap everywhere. And I can't do that without hotkeys. Again, showing Brood War a very mechanically hard game to play. There's a lot of trading going on right about now. I have to say it's even, and I'm quite honestly surprised at how well MADiNHO is actually dealing with this. And I'm looking at the minimap. There are no hidden expansions. Like, MADiNHO's actually fought off just off of 2 strict bases against like a solid like 3 basing Protoss, if not more. And don't forget that Protoss has like fully saturation off of all those bases as well. It's not like a half 3 base. It's like a full 3 base. God, how many SCVs is that? And like, I wish I could select all of it, but alas, I cannot. I have another engagement here, nice stasis field-ish. It's actually mainly comprised of... I thought those were SCVs for a second. Those look like SCVs, don't they? Kind of? No? Sorry for the obs, has died. 133 supply to 149. MADiNHO is... Again, I don't see how it's possible, but... It appears that Dewalt has had such a high Arbiter count, maybe that was the struggle. And with the amount of Goliath that are out on the field now, I mean, that must be at least a control group, if not more. 17 Goliath versus 16 Dragoons and 10 Zealots. Now, those 10 Zealots are really going to help with that army. Is that like a perfect line? Look at that. That's a perfect line of just like pure siege tanks. But this top right-hand base is done. There's just no other question about it. And with this amount of Goliath out in the field here, arbiters are going to be worthless. They're just going to get one-shotted. And, you know, part of the reason why, Terrans don't do this is because these aren't as fast as vultures. And I'm trying to do like my... Ooh, 10 probes were killed. But the best way I'm reading, and this is why protesters don't get as many Goliaths, is, one, they're probably more expensive than... Well, they are more expensive than vultures. They take up, I believe, even supply. But they're not as fast, so they're not as easy to get in position here, and with mech being so slow, meaning pretty much the bulk of tanks, you know, you really want to get your vultures in position as quick as possible. And like if there's a flank coming, you want to get your speed vultures out as fast as possible to get like a flank, to stop a flank or something, and just soak up damage here. Okay, but it looks like Dewalt's just sat back again, and he's going to try to re-macro here. He's already slightly ahead in supply, about 150 to 145. Now it's 151 compared to 154, so it's about dead even. This game has been fairly even up to this point here. Oddly enough, Dewalt is still going to commit to these arbiters, and by no means, again, arbiters are bad, but again, with the high amount of Goliath out, why can't he tech switch to? He really needs to kill out these Goliaths in such a manner, but he just really hasn't found that of an army yet, and I think another reason, a reason why you might read in this is that Goliath aren't terrible units in general. They're kind of like they're okay against everything, but they're not really. They don't really they don't hard counter anything except for like Aryans, but like ground units, like they're okay, but like they don't hard counter anything. They're kind of just there. If that makes any kind of sense. It's kind of like goons, like in a way that are like. Their goons aren't really like really specific counter something, but they're kind of like there to like a bulky of an army. But mech just doesn't generally have them as many, and I think Dragoons are probably just better than Goliath anyway, and then it's probably why you don't see as much. But I think this might be a game for MADiNHO. He had a great shot, but he's losing a lot. With Dewalt getting in the national expansion, that means the main base is going to be under siege eventually speaking. There are also plenty of spider mines to stall for time, though, which may give MADiNHO enough time, but he's going to lose this command center, which isn't the biggest deal, but this does count for half a guys who don't remember, so that is more gas. It actually still has like 1.5k left in it, actually, surprisingly. We do have this other base in the center base for MADiNHO, and it looks like there aren't as many Goliath out in the field as there once were. There's about 13 now, but they really aren't congested as much. I can't really pinpoint this army. It's 120 to 156 down to 135 now. So GG by MADiNHO. I think that was the right time, the correct time. We almost get to a half-an-hour game. Very, very intense. Very intense game right there. Very intense. So, you know, great game again. You know, I really can't complain about that. Very, very long macro game, and I kind of like MADiNHO's style of going like Goliath, but in a way it kind of helped him, but then it kind of just like it kind of stopped off that first push because there were so many arbiters out. Like he was just stasising everything. Like there was just an opportunity to stasis everything because by the time the Terran remaxes, they already have 75 energy again probably, and then it's just Protoss wins again. So, you know, with that being said, you know, what it comes down to is he did a great job to like hard counter that first initial push, but then Dewalt's like, you know what, he has like not that much stuff left, and he has like pure Goliath. Like Dragoons apparently beat Goliath. I mean that's the only thing I can tell you, and it's just one. You know, the mech can't be everywhere at once. In late game Terran, you know, that's why 3 basing is oftentimes a lot more viable than, you know, later game Terran. Terran has oftentimes to, like, really get to really get a foot grounding in the late game with their mega army, unless they really have really good map control where they can contain the Protoss. Where it's kind of evened out, it makes it a little bit harder for Terran to maneuver such a way. And by no means this doesn't make it impossible for Terran to win, but it does make it more difficult to get your tanks in such a way. Do you keep them clumped up, or where you might be able to defend a location really, really powerful, but is the Protoss smart enough just to attack another location? You know, it's hard to read in that. In a map like this, Monte Cristo, it's divided vertically in such a way. I believe it's symmetrical diagonal, but in a way you expand like north and south. So most of the time, yeah, and there isn't like one choke point like Fighting Spirit where it's like you have two choke points. You have that one right outside your natural and one like that small ramp off your third base. That doesn't really exist here. You kind of have to make your own walls and stuff like that. And I think the later the late game goes on, it makes it a little bit more harder to really do that because you're trying to remake an army, you're trying to be aggressive. You're not really trying to like be passive. And I don't know if MADiNHO could have potentially made some more makeshift walls, you know, put some more tanks behind it, just positioned himself in a more defensive position here. I don't know. I don't think that's going to work for the entire duration of the late game, because then Protoss can be like, well, I'm going to take every other base. And pretty much what happened. And, I mean, Dewalt, the only thing I could really say bad for his play was that the weird decision to take his third base at that Island Expo. And I think if you're going to do that, you know, especially against a player that's going to drop you effectively, you know, just put up a couple cannons. The dropship can't get there if there's too many cannons up there. And by what sometimes late game Protosses do, they end up putting like 15 cannons. I mean, I don't know if you could afford that this game, especially because you can only really get 5 bases. It's kind of different how it works out, because I can Fighting Spirit, because I'm trying to like put this in context, because I don't tend to see a lot of game on this map more specifically. I need to see more games on this, but what the logic normally happens from this matchup is that Fighting Spirit, if you can picture that map in your head for a second, there's 4 main bases, so it's a 4-player map, and it's very macro style, macro-esque, but you can also it's a very overall, very awesome map, but it's very macro-centric. And what can happen in the late game is that, like, Terran can 3-base, and then they can mine out those bases, and then they can stall for enough time where they just re-expand to, like the north or south base of them, or the left or right base, and then they literally have another 3 bases as long as they can just sit themselves back in, and then at that point, Terran can actually do pretty well, because then Protoss is almost pretty much equally at the same amount of base, because they're off 3 base, or they mined off they're off 6 base, and they failed to break down a 3-base Terran, and now they're resituated themselves. It can work out like that, but Terran here just didn't. It kind of worked out. It would have worked like that on Fighting Spirit, but what happened here was Terran really had nowhere to expand. Like they could not hold on to their expansions. MADiNHO could not just grasp that expansion for too long. It's really all I can. Well, actually, really to say. But again, guys, thanks for watching again. Fitch signing out here. Thanks for watching. And make sure you press that like button. Subscribe to us. And I think I've talked for a little bit too long. So that does mean Reps is up again 1-0 this series. So congratulations to them. So it's going to Reps' favor so far for these finals. But I am certain that LRM will make some kind of comeback, hopefully. Alright, guys, thanks for watching again, and peace.